Grandma, do you still remember that dream you told me you had right before John went to the hospital?
Oh, yeah. So, uh, yes. I dreamed one time that we were in an old Model T car going down the road. There was 4 people in the car. I was one of them. But it was black, and there were 2 or 3 of us. 2 or 3 cars in a row. And we suddenly pulled over, and there was this bright light from heaven. And God spoke and said, everything's going to be okay. And I can tell you to this day the details of that. Mm-hmm. And then we got back in the car and drove home. Well, at that point, I had no idea what was going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But it was so vivid, and that's been 50 years ago, I can still to this day tell you details of that dream. And I knew immediately it was from God, but it was a true dream, God telling me something. It wasn't something my mind was making up. Mm-hmm. And I told it to a lady at church who was a good friend of ours, and she says, you hang on to that, you're going to need it. And it was about 3 months later that I took him to the doctor again, and we immediately went from the doctor's office to the hospital. And he was in the hospital for, I can't remember, it was a week or 10 days, and they kept saying they didn't know why. They didn't know what was. He had infection in his body, but they couldn't prove what kind of infection. They started giving him antibiotics immediately, but they couldn't tell me what it was. And the doctor came in and said, if he doesn't get better in the next 2 days, we're sending him to, what's the name of the hospital in LA, a big hospital in LA, with the children's hospital there, I guess. And he started getting better the next day. And stayed there. And then when it was all over, one doctor says, well, we don't know what he had, but we know it wasn't TB. The other doctor says, well, I can't prove it, but I know he had TB. So we never did know for sure, but I really believe it was TB of the bone. And Wes had gotten some hay or straw and stuff from a farmer. Mm-hmm. I guess it was from a farmer, for our backyard. And John got out there and was throwing it up in the air, and and that's how we figured he got the TB. Mm-hmm. Because it had been in a barn somewhere at one point, or a pasture, I don't know exactly where he got it, but anyway, it was, it was probably contaminated with something.